The massive council chamber made Ambassador James Walker feel like an ant. Floating platforms held hundreds of alien representatives, all looking down at him with mixtures of pity and contempt. The chamber's dark metal walls rose so high that their tops vanished in shadow, and strange symbols glowed with harsh blue light. Walker stood straight despite his racing heart. He was the first human to ever stand in this chamber, and he knew billions of lives depended on what happened in the next few minutes. His simple black suit felt woefully out of place among the elaborate robes and biomechanical outfits of the alien delegates. Species 3742, classification, human, announced a booming voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Your kind has been summoned to receive the Council's judgment. The central platform descended slowly. On it stood three beings that Walker recognized as the High Counselors. The one in the middle, tall and skeletal with silvery skin, stepped forward. Its name was impossible for humans to pronounce, but it was known as the First Speaker. We have observed your civilization for many cycles, the First Speaker said. Its voice was surprisingly gentle, almost kind. Your world is rich in resources that the galaxy needs. Your people show potential, but you are young, prone to violence, and dangerously unstable. Walker felt a drop of sweat roll down his back, but he kept his face neutral. The small device hidden in his collar continued to transmit everything back to Earth. The Council has reached a unanimous decision. The First Speaker continued. Earth will be placed under the protection of the Galactic Council. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your industries will be supervised. Your resources will be managed for the greater good of all species. Murmurs of approval echoed through the chamber. Walker noticed some of the younger races shifting uncomfortably on their platforms, but none dared speak against the decision. And if we refuse? Walker asked, his voice steady despite his anger. The second speaker, a massive being that looked like a cross between a bear and a mantis, leaned forward. Refusal is not an option, human. Accept our protection, or face extinction. We have ships positioned throughout your solar system. Your primitive defenses cannot hope to resist. Walker allowed himself to smile slightly. I see. And this is the Council's final word on the matter. It is. The third speaker rumbled, its crystalline form pulsing with red light. You have 3 Earth days to begin the surrender process. After that, we will take action to secure your world's compliance. Walker bowed his head, appearing to submit. I understand. I request permission to return to Earth to inform our leaders of your generous offer. Granted, the first speaker said, but know that you are being watched. Any attempt to resist will only bring suffering to your people. As Walker turned to leave, he heard whispers among the delegates. They spoke of Earth's resources, of how quickly they could begin extraction, of how simple it would be to subdue such a primitive species. None of them noticed the small gleam of triumph in Walker's eyes. In his private shuttle, Walker finally allowed himself to relax. He activated his secure communication device. Did you get all that? Every word, Ambassador, came the response from Earth Command. The Council's arrogance is impressive. Walker looked out at the stars. They think we're defenseless, that we never noticed their probes, never recovered their crashed ships, never developed countermeasures. He shook his head. 50 years of preparation, and they don't suspect a thing. Operation Steel Rain is ready, Earth Command reported. All units are in position. We just needed their official declaration of hostile intent. And now we have it, Walker said, thinking of the massive fleet hidden behind Earth's moon, the weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, the quantum defense grid that the Council's scans couldn't detect. They gave us exactly what we needed, proof that they intend to conquer Earth by force. As his shuttle headed home, Walker thought about the shock these ancient races would feel when they discovered that humanity had been preparing for this day since they first detected alien signals in 2021. The Council thought they were dealing with primitive savages. They would soon learn just how wrong they were. The next 3 days would change the galaxy forever. and humanity was ready. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Maria Torres walked through a bustling command center. Massive screens covered the walls, showing hundreds of stealth ships hidden throughout the solar system. Each vessel was a testament to humanity's determination to survive. "Status report," she ordered, her voice firm but calm. The Admiral's simple blue uniform carried only a small silver pin showing Earth's new United Defense Force symbol, a shield with a globe inside it. "All ships report ready, Admiral," replied Captain Tom Reed from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the holographic controls, bringing up detailed status reports. "The Council's ships haven't detected any of our forces. Their scans keep passing right through our quantum stealth fields." Torres allowed herself a small smile. The aliens thought their technology was far beyond human understanding. They had no idea that Earth had captured one of their scout ships back in 2021. That single crashed vessel had given humanity the boost it needed. "Show me the Council fleet positions," she commanded. The main screen changed to display red dots representing enemy ships. They were moving into attack positions, confident in their superiority. A young technician spoke up from her station. "Admiral, we're picking up transmissions from their fleet. They're laughing about how easy this will be." Her voice shook with anger. "Let them laugh," Torres said. "Pride comes before a fall." She turned to face her crew. "For 50 years, we kept our advances secret. Every nation on Earth worked together, sharing resources and knowledge. We reversed engineered their tech, improved it, and developed our own innovations." The massive underground hangar beneath them held rows of sleek ships. Each one carried weapons that the Council races had deemed impossible for primitive humans to create. Torres remembered how hard everyone had worked to reach this point. "Message from Earth Command," announced Captain Reed. "Ambassador Walker has returned. The Council gave their official threat. We have legal justification to activate all defense systems." Torres nodded. "Send the alert to all ships. Begin powering up the Luna base." She watched as status lights began changing from yellow to green across the displays. Hidden doors on the moon's surface slowly opened, revealing more of Earth's secret fleet. "Admiral," called out another officer, "I'm getting strange readings from the Council ships. They seem to be celebrating." He looked confused. Torres walked over to his station. The alien vessels were indeed sending out victory signals, already dividing up Earth's resources among themselves. The Council races were so certain of their victory that they had begun planning their victory feast. "They think they're dealing with simple primitives who barely understand space travel," Torres said. "Show me the steel rain platforms." The screen shifted to show thousands of hidden weapons platforms disguised as normal asteroids. Each one contained hundreds of kinetic projectiles, simple but devastating weapons that used speed and mass instead of fancy energy beams. "Incoming transmission from Council Command," reported the communications officer. "They're broadcasting their victory speech already. Should I put it on screen?" "No need," Torres replied. "We all know what they think of us. Instead, show me the faces of our crew across the fleet." The screens filled with images from ships throughout the solar system. Men and women from every nation on Earth looked back at her, ready and determined. Some operated ships hidden in Mars' orbit, others controlled the Luna-based defenses, and more waited in the asteroid belt. "The Council thinks humanity is weak because we kept our strength hidden," Torres said to her crew. "They believe we're primitive because we chose not to show our hand too early. In 2 days, they'll learn the truth." She looked at the proud faces of her crew, thinking of the decades of preparation that had brought them to this moment. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would surrender at the first sign of superior technology. "Humanity has never been good at surrendering," Torres said quietly, "and we're even worse at being conquered." The next 48 hours would prove just how badly the Council had underestimated Earth. Torres just hoped the aliens were ready for the shock of their lives. The Council's invasion fleet moved forward with complete confidence. 5,000 warships, their hulls gleaming with strange metals, approached Earth in perfect formation. At their head, Fleet Commander Apex watched the blue planet grow larger on his view screen. "Primitive world," he said to his bridge crew, his crystalline form glowing with amusement. "They don't even have proper orbital defenses. Just a few primitive satellites and space stations." His second-in-command nodded in agreement. "Our scans show no significant military presence. This will be the easiest conquest in Council history." They were wrong. In Earth's hidden command center, Admiral Torres watched the enemy fleet approach. She waited until they passed the Preset marker, a point of no return that would prove the Council's hostile intent. "All units, Operation Steel Rain is now active," she announced, her voice calm but firm. "Launch on my mark." Across the solar system, what the Council thought were simple asteroids began to move. Thousands of rocky surfaces split open, revealing the weapons hidden beneath. Each platform contained hundreds of kinetic projectiles, simple metal rods designed to strike with the force of nuclear weapons, but without the radiation. "They've crossed the line," Captain Reed reported. "All targets are locked." Torres took a deep breath, launched Steel Rain. Across the alien fleet, sensor operators noticed something strange. Their screens showed thousands of small objects suddenly appearing, moving at incredible speeds, but that was impossible. Their scans had shown no weapons platforms in the area. "Minor debris field ahead," one alien officer reported to Commander Apex. "Nothing our shields can't handle." Those were his last words. The first wave of kinetic projectiles struck the front of the invasion fleet at a fraction of light speed. Ships that had survived battles with the most advanced energy weapons shattered like glass. Their fancy shields, designed to stop energy beams and plasma bolts, did nothing against simple metal rods moving fast enough to punch through their hulls like paper. "What's happening?" Apex screamed as his flagship rocked with nearby impacts. "Where is this attack coming from?" "Multiple impacts across the fleet," his officers shouted. "We're losing ships. By the ancestors, we've lost 30% of the fleet already." In Earth's command center, Torres watched the destruction with grim satisfaction. "Second wave, launch when ready," she ordered. More platforms opened, releasing another swarm of projectiles. The Council fleet tried to scatter, but they had entered the kill zone in such a tight formation that they could barely maneuver without crashing into each other. "Impossible." Apex raged as his ship shuddered from a near miss. "These primitives can't have weapons like this. We would have detected them." But the humans had learned long ago that sometimes the simplest weapons were the best. No complex energy fields, no exotic particles, just solid metal rods accelerated to incredible speeds, hidden inside hollow asteroids that the Council's scans had dismissed as natural space debris. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," reported Captain Reed. "They're trying to retreat." Torres nodded. "Launch third wave. Target their escape routes." The Council ships frantically tried to flee, but more kinetic projectiles cut off their retreat paths. Ships exploded or broke apart as the simple but devastating weapons tore through their advanced defenses. "This is impossible," Apex shouted as his flagship's engines failed. "These are primitives. They don't even have proper space travel. They can't defeat us like this." In the command center, Torres watched as the mighty Council fleet fell into chaos. Almost half their ships were destroyed or crippled, and the rest were scattered and panicked. "Message from Earth Command," an officer announced. "Ambassador Walker says the Council is demanding to know what's happening. They're in total confusion." Torres smiled. "Tell them this is just the beginning. Now they'll learn why you should never underestimate humans." As the remains of the Council fleet retreated in disorder, Torres prepared for the next phase. The Steel Rain platforms had proven their worth, but this was just the first step. Now it was time to show the aliens what humanity's real fleet could do. "All ships prepare to emerge from lunar hiding," she ordered. Let's show the Council what else these primitives can do. Captain Robert Smith stood at the bridge of the EDS Defender, watching as hundreds of Earth ships emerged from their hidden bases on the Moon's surface. The sight was amazing. Sleek black vessels rising from concealed hangars, their quantum stealth fields shimmering like heat waves in the void of space. "All ships report ready, Captain," his first officer said. "The Council fleet is still in disarray after the steel rain attack." Smith nodded, his expression determined. "Send word to all ships. Operation Thunderbolt is go. Target their command vessels first." The Earth Defense Fleet moved with perfect coordination. Unlike the Council ships with their flashy energy weapons, Earth's vessels were built for stealth and surprise. Their hulls absorbed radar and light, making them nearly invisible even without their stealth fields active. "Enemy ships detected ahead," reported the sensor officer. "They're trying to regroup after the steel rain attack. Their shields are still up, but their formations are scattered." In her command center, Admiral Torres watched the battle displays. "All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Show them what those primitive humans can really do." The Earth fleet split into 3 groups. Smith's squadron led the main attack, while 2 other groups moved to cut off the Council fleet's escape routes. The aliens were about to learn another painful lesson about human ingenuity. "They'd spotted us," called out Smith's tactical officer. "Enemy ships are powering up their weapons." The Council vessels fired brilliant beams of energy that lit up space like artificial suns, but Earth's ships had special hulls that could absorb and redirect energy weapons. The Council's mighty warships might as well have been shooting flashlights. "Return fire," Smith ordered. "All ships, deploy boarding pods." This was humanity's real surprise. Instead of trying to destroy the Council's superior ships, they planned to capture them. Small, fast pods shot out from Earth's vessels, carrying elite teams of soldiers in advanced combat suits. "Boarding pods are away," reported the tactical officer. "First wave has reached the enemy command ship." Inside the Council flagship, alarms blared as human soldiers cut through the hull. The alien crew had never expected primitives to dare board their vessels. They were completely unprepared for armored humans charging through their corridors. "This is Strike Team Alpha," came a report over the radio. "We've reached their bridge. These aliens didn't even post guards. They thought their shields would protect them." Smith smiled as he watched more boarding pods attached to enemy ships. The Council races had become so dependent on their advanced technology that they'd forgotten the basics of warfare. They never expected anyone to simply cut through their hulls and fight hand-to-hand. "Admiral," Smith called to Torres, "my teams have captured 3 command ships already. We're downloading their military databases now." In the command center, Torres nodded with satisfaction. "Well done, Captain. Their arrogance is their weakness. They never thought we'd be bold enough to board their ships." The battle continued as more Earth ships emerged from hiding. The Council fleet, already damaged by steel rain, now found themselves being captured by the very primitives they'd planned to conquer. Their mighty energy weapons were useless against Earth's absorbing hulls, and their crews were helpless against trained human soldiers. "Enemy ships are surrendering," reported Smith's sensor officer. "They're powering down weapons and calling for mercy. Accept their surrender," Torres ordered across the fleet. "But keep boarding their ships. We need their technology and their military data." Smith watched as white flags appeared on his tactical display, the universal sign of surrender. In just a few hours, humanity had gone from being seen as primitive savages to capturing the most advanced ships in the Council fleet. "Send word to Earth Command," Torres ordered. "Tell them Phase 2 is complete. We now have access to the Council's military networks and enough captured ships to prove our strength." The real war was just beginning. But now, the Council would have to face humanity as equals, or perhaps even as their superiors. The age of treating Earth as a primitive world was over. Ambassador Walker strode into the Council chamber for the second time in a week. This time, however, everything was different. The floating platforms that once looked down on him in contempt now held nervous aliens whispering among themselves. The mighty council races didn't seem so mighty anymore. "Honored Council," Walker said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "I believe we need to continue our previous discussion." A small smile played on his lips as he spoke. The first speaker, no longer looking tall and impressive, shifted uncomfortably on the central platform. Your species has committed an act of war against the Council. You destroyed half our fleet." "No," Walker replied calmly. "We defended ourselves against your invasion fleet after you threatened Earth with extinction. Everything we did was in self-defense, and we have proof." He held up a data crystal taken from one of the captured Council ships. The chamber erupted in chaos. Younger races began shouting at the elder ones. Some demanded to know how humans had developed such advanced technology in secret. Others called for immediate peace talks. Silence. The second speaker roared, but their authority wasn't what it used to be. From his position on the chamber floor, Walker watched as alliances began to shift. The younger council races, those who had suffered under the elders' rule for centuries, were already reaching out to Earth's delegation through private channels. "We have captured enough of your ships to understand how the Council really works," Walker announced. "How the elder races keep the younger ones down. How you steal resources from developing worlds. That ends today." The third speaker's crystalline form flashed with angry red light. "You dare threaten us? We have ruled the galaxy for millennia." "We're not threatening anyone," Walker said. "We're offering a choice. Either the Council reforms and becomes truly democratic, or Earth will support the younger races in creating a new governing body." The younger races' representatives began cheering. The Blue Star Alliance, a group of newer spacefaring species, immediately announced their support for Earth. Others quickly followed. In a private chamber off the main hall, Walker met with representatives from 20 younger races. Their leader, a being of pure energy named Light of Truth, spoke for the group. "We have watched in secret as humanity prepared," Light of Truth said. "While the elders saw only primitives, we saw your potential, your adaptability, your determination." Walker nodded. "And now we offer you partnership, not dominance. Equal trade, not theft of resources. The choice is yours." Back in the main chamber, the Council elders were losing control. More races were openly declaring support for Earth's position. Centuries of resentment against the elder race's rule were finally breaking free. "The human speaks truth," shouted the representative of the Star Wanderers, a race that had suffered under Council rule for generations. "We demand reform." The first speaker tried one last time to maintain control. "You would trust these humans, these newcomers to space." "We trust them more than you," replied another young race's delegate. "They offer us respect and equality. What have you ever offered except demands and threats?" Walker watched as the balance of power shifted before his eyes. Admiral Torres had given him a powerful position to negotiate from, and he was using it well. The captured Council ships had revealed countless secrets that could free the younger races from the elders' control. "Here is our proposal," Walker announced, sending data to all the platforms. "A new Council structure, equal representation for all spacefaring races, protection for developing worlds, no more exploitation." The chamber erupted again, but this time with excitement rather than fear. The younger races began formally declaring their support for Earth's proposal. The elder races, seeing their power base crumble, had no choice but to consider the reforms. As Walker watched the old order crumble, he thought about how wrong the Council had been about humanity. They thought they were dealing with simple primitives. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape the galaxy. Dr. Thomas Reed stared at his monitoring screens in Earth's main science facility, his eyes growing wide with alarm. The readings from the sun were unlike anything he'd seen before. "Admiral Torres," he called through the emergency channel. "They're doing it. The architects are actually trying to use the solar weapon." In the command center, Taurus quickly pulled up the data. The eldest council race, the Architects, had activated a massive device near the sun. Energy readings were off the charts. "How long do we have?" Taurus asked, her voice tense but controlled. 20 minutes before they trigger a massive solar flare," Reed replied. "If it hits Earth, it could fry every electronic device on the planet." Taurus smiled grimly. "Good thing we found those ancient warnings, isn't it?" Reed nodded, remembering the discovery that had saved them. Years ago, while studying ancient Earth texts, he had found stories about massive solar storms that had once hit Earth. At first, everyone thought they were just myths. But then they found similar warnings in the ruins of ancient civilizations around the world. "All ships, execute Operation Sunshield," Taurus commanded, "just like we practiced." Across the solar system, Earth's hidden fleet moved into position. The ships carried special devices based on both the ancient warnings and reverse-engineered alien technology. Nobody had ever tried to stop a solar flare before, but humans were good at doing the impossible. "The Architect's weapon is powering up," reported Captain Smith from his ship near the sun. "They really think they're going to burn our world to ash." In the council chamber, Ambassador Walker faced the Architect leader. The ancient alien's metal body glowed with energy as it announced its final solution. "If we cannot rule the galaxy, we will make an example of your world," the Architect declared. "Your civilization will be wiped out, and order will be restored." Walker kept his cool. "I suggest you check your systems," he said calmly. "You might find a surprise." High above the sun, the Architect's superweapon reached full power. They had built it ages ago, but never dared to use it. Now, in their desperation, they had forgotten one important thing about humans. They were very good at turning enemies' weapons against them. "Now," Taurus ordered. Reed activated the countermeasures. Hundreds of small devices around the sun powered up, creating a massive energy web. The design came from studying ancient cave paintings that showed how past civilizations had survived solar storms. "It's working," Reed shouted excitedly. "The energy web is redirecting the solar flare." The Architects watched in horror as their mighty weapon backfired. Instead of hitting Earth, the solar flare was caught in humanity's energy web and redirected straight back at the Architects' own worlds. "Impossible," the Architect leader screamed. "This technology is beyond you. You're primitives." "We learned from the past," Walker explained calmly. "Your kind might have caused those ancient solar storms, but our ancestors found ways to survive them. We just needed to rediscover that knowledge." The Architects frantically tried to shut down their weapon, but it was too late. The redirected solar flare was heading straight for their home systems. Only their immediate surrender would convince Earth to help them stop it. "Do you yield?" Walker asked simply. The Architect leader's glow dimmed in defeat. We yield. Please, help us." Taurus gave the order, and Earth's fleet moved to contain the redirected flare. They would save the Architects' worlds, not out of fear, but because humans could show mercy even to enemies. "Send word to all council races," Walker announced. "The age of the elder race's tyranny is over. A new era of cooperation and equality begins today." As Reed watched the energy readings return to normal, he thought about how the Architects' greatest weapon had led to their downfall. They had tried to destroy Earth with the very same force that humanity had learned to master ages ago. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was a good thing. 1 year after the failed solar attack, the Galactic capital looked very different. The once dark council chamber now shone with natural light from huge windows. The floating platforms were gone, replaced by a circular arrangement where all races sat at the same level. Ambassador Walker sat at Earth's new seat, looking around at the changed chamber with satisfaction. Next to him, representatives from younger races chatted freely with humans and each other. Even some of the elder races had learned to adapt to the new way of things. The Council recognizes Earth's proposal for the Protection of Developing Worlds Act, announced the new Council Speaker, chosen by democratic vote rather than age or power. Walker stood up to present the law he and Admiral Torres had worked on for months. Too many young civilizations have been exploited or destroyed, he began. This law will ensure every developing world has the chance to grow at their own pace, free from interference. The chamber erupted in applause. Many races remembered their own struggles under the old council's harsh rule. Now they had a chance to protect others from the same fate. In orbit above a distant planet, Captain Smith watched from his ship as a council peacekeeping fleet drove away illegal mining vessels. The planet below held a civilization just discovering electricity, the kind of world that would have been ruthlessly exploited under the old system. Another successful protection mission, his first officer reported. The mining corporation is retreating. Smith nodded with satisfaction. Send word to the natives' protection team on the surface. Tell them the threat is gone, and they can continue their quiet observation. Back on Earth, Admiral Torres stood in the new Global Defense Academy. Young officers from dozens of alien races trained alongside humans, learning to work together to protect peace in the galaxy. The sight would have been impossible just a year ago. Admiral, a young alien cadet called out, their crystalline form glowing with excitement. The simulation results are in. The mixed species crews performed 50% better than single-species teams. Torres smiled. This was what she had hoped for. Different races learning from each other's strengths. Excellent work, cadet. That's exactly what we wanted to prove. In his research lab, Dr. Reed worked with scientists from across the galaxy. The old council had kept races separate, afraid they would become too powerful if they shared knowledge. Now, the combined research teams were making incredible breakthroughs. The new medical technology works, announced a scientist from one of the younger races. By combining our healing crystals with Earth's stem cell research, we can cure diseases that neither of us could treat alone. Reed grinned broadly. This is what cooperation looks like. No race has all the answers, but together we can solve almost anything. The architect leader, now just one voice among many in the council, watched these changes with growing understanding. We were wrong, they admitted to Walker during a private meeting. We thought keeping races separate and controlled made the galaxy safer. Instead, we were holding everyone back. Walker nodded. The galaxy is stronger when we work together. Earth proved that when we united our own nations to face the stars. In the council chamber, the final vote on the Protection Act was unanimous, something unheard of in the old days. As celebrations broke out, Walker received an urgent message from Earth Command. New civilization detected, the message read. Pre-industrial world, showing great potential. Requesting permission to establish a quiet observation post. Walker smiled as he approved the request. The wheel had turned full circle. Once, Earth had been the observed world. Now they helped protect others as they grew and developed. This is what we fought for, he said to the chamber at large. Not conquest, not domination, but the right of every species to reach for the stars in their own way, at their own pace. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity, once dismissed as primitive, had helped create something better than the old council could have imagined. A true community of stars, where every voice was heard and every world had a chance to shine.